Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be giving you a crash course in how to make music videos like this one. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would really help support the channel. And just a special shout out to all of you guys. I just recently passed 2,000 subscribers, and I just can't say thank you enough for continuing to support this channel. Alright, so being a musician in 2021 basically means you have to do everything. You have to learn how to record yourself, promote yourself, and part of that means you have to learn how to do video, at least on a basic level. And that's what this video is about. It's a very basic introductory crash course in how to shoot video yourself. So I'd like to start by giving just a quick rundown of all the gear you'll need to make a music video like this one. Now in this day and age, you can pretty much get by with just a cell phone, but if you want to make a video in the same way that I make videos, I'm just going to list out my gear, and that might be of some use to you guys, just so you know what I use, how I use it, and things like that. So I'm shooting this video on a Canon M50, which is kind of a lower to mid-price camera. It's expensive, but not nearly as expensive as a lot of other cameras that you'll see other YouTubers use. And I'm not using the stock lens, I'm using the Canon, I believe it's like EFM 22mm f2.0. It basically is the equivalent of like a 35mm lens. So it's kind of a good all-around lens to use. And I find it makes my videos just look a little bit more crisp, and you get the cool blurry background. Outside of that, for this video, I'll be using only 2 lights, and they're pretty cheap lights that I got on Amazon by a company called Neewer, with 2 E's. I never know how to pronounce that, but links to everything in the description below. And I use basically only those 2 lights, and for this video I'm going to use one microphone, the same one I'm using for my voice, and that's pretty much it. So I have a camera, 2 lights, but you can basically, as I'll show you in a second, just get away with it using only 1 light, and the second light is just kind of a nice to have, not a need to have. And outside of that, all of the audio is being run through my mic, which at this point is a Lewitt Audio 441 Flex running into my Focusrite Claret, and then my computer just back there. That's the nice thing about shooting videos in your studio is, as far as the audio goes, I'm not using anything portable. If I was doing this on location, I would either bring my laptop, or if you had like a Zoom recorder or something like that, that'd be a good way to capture the audio as well. Alright, so let's get to the most important part about shooting your videos. And that's basically going to be audio. Now, I know that sounds a little bit counterintuitive when you're talking about a visual medium, but let me demonstrate really quickly. I've got another video on my channel that shows this as well. But basically, the audio, generally more often than not, is a better indicator of quality than the video. So I'm going to talk right now, and I'm going to flip back and forth between the camera audio and then the audio coming out of my mic. So if I say testing 1, 2, 3, and then if I say testing 1, 2, 3, do you hear the difference? One is just the camera audio, the other is the audio that's actually being captured. And this goes doubly when you're actually recording a musical performance. If you're just using the mic on your cell phone, it's okay. Like, you can get some okay results out of it. I even have a video on that on my channel, linked down below. But the audio will give you a better sense of quality and connection with the video than actually having good video quality. Now, outside of that, basically the thing that's going to determine your video quality other than your camera is the lighting. Even if you have an awesome camera, if you have terrible lighting, it's still going to look pretty bad. So I'm going to demonstrate this by setting up my lighting scheme that I have right now and turning them on one by one so you can see the difference. And before I do that, I'm going to turn on the overhead just bedroom light that I have in my studio, just so you can see how bad the stock lighting is in most rooms. So cue the annoying music and let's check this out. So to set up lighting for video, you'll just have to know a few basic terms. One is a key light, the other is a fill light. So for this shot, I'm using a key light, or my main light, which is basically 45 degrees off to my left, as close as I can get it to me without actually being in frame. If I went out and grabbed the light stand and moved it just maybe a couple inches, you'd start to see it kind of creeping into this side of the frame. Same thing with my hair light back there, or my fill light, which basically just gives a little bit more fill, or lightens up the shadow on the right side of my face. Now, if you're going to do a really dramatic looking video, say you're playing a really dark piece of music like Invocation and Dance or Rodrigo or something, I'd probably turn that off and then maybe move this light a little bit more to the left so it casts more shadow on my face. And that's a really cool thing to do, to play around with your lighting, is you can get more of a dramatic look. Say if I move the camera a little bit closer to my light, or vice versa, move my light a little bit more towards my camera, it would look a little more flat. It wouldn't be as dramatic as it is right now, where I have a little bit of shadow on my face. There's a little bit of my shoulder and my hair that have been lit up by the light behind me, and it creates depth. And you can play around with that and try to find what works best for you. Now, if you don't have a light, you can still do most of this stuff. Just say if you have a natural light, like a window or something like that. The problem with that is that you can't dim it, or sometimes it gets dimmed when you don't want to. A lot of my early videos were shot just on my iPhone 6, and I would just use natural light and things like that, and the cloud would go in front of the sun, and then the exposure would drop. Or likewise, I would be shooting and then the cloud would move and I would turn into a ghost. It would be really, really bad. I think there's a couple videos still on my channel where I just left it because I was like, well, it was a live take. Can't really change it. But I mean, it's just so blown out, it's hilarious. But point being, if you can control the light and you get good enough at practicing where to put things, if you have a light that's dimmable, that's really nice. Most of the videos that I made before I moved to my new studio were made using lights that had no dimmer on them. It was just a really big bulb, and to control it, I actually had to move the light source, further away from me to kind of get the dimmed effect. So it's kind of nice to be able to move something close and then adjust it that way. Now, a nice hack for getting your camera out of frame is to sometimes use a mic stand that's meant for a kick drum. It usually means you can just place it right below the frame, and sometimes you can get it under music stands, things like that. You'd be surprised if you saw the opposite angle of what I'm shooting right now. Sometimes you would see a music stand, mic stand, computer tablet, something like that, and then from this angle it just looks really, really clean. Now, I get asked a lot how I edit the audio for my videos. And I might go in depth in a future video on this one. It just gets kind of complicated to show and demonstrate with screen grabs and all kinds of stuff. But basically my process is I record everything directly into my DAW, PreSonus, Reaper, whatever I happen to be using, usually PreSonus, and I'll do all of the audio editing there. I won't do any audio editing as far as mixing goes in my video editor, which at this point is DaVinci Resolve, which is free. So if you want to use the same video editor that I use, you can go download it. It's free. It's awesome. I highly recommend it, especially if you want to get off the Adobe bandwagon and you just basically give them all your money every year. And basically what I do is I'll take my edited audio and then sync it up with the camera audio. Basically, most software nowadays will actually just automatically sync the audio. So if you have camera audio and you have your mixed audio and you put them into the same program, usually there's a way you can click a button and highlight both, and it'll drag and drop, and you can just delete the camera audio. Again, leaving the very nice, nicely mixed, has reverb, great sound on it, rather than using just the kind of mediocre phone or camera audio. And this is one point where if you're using a phone, if you at least record your audio on something else and then sync it in post, it basically doubles your production value. Most phones nowadays, with the exception of mine, which is 7 years old at this point, have really, really good video capabilities, but the audio is still a phone microphone for the most part. So what you want to do is record it on something else, sync it, delete the camera audio, and then you have a much better product. Now, here's a great tip to get the most bang for your buck out of a single camera. So if you're like me and you only have one camera that's still generally mid-priced, even though it's just stupidly expensive, and if it broke, I'd probably go cry in a corner for a week, is to do one of two things. One, which is a surprisingly common way to do multicam video, is to basically mime it. So this is pretty common, especially if you have an artist or something that's just recorded a new CD or something like that, and they just want to have a promo video. Something to get people aware of their music, and it just looks really, really nice. And a lot of times you'll see guitarists do this out in the woods or really cool location somewhere like that, where obviously more often than not, they're just going to use the CD audio and then kind of mime it to get a really nice professional look. And that's how generally when they hire professional videographers, they can get so many cool different angles and things like that and still have a pristine musical performance. So one way to do that is to record your audio and then just basically have the audio playing back on a speaker, while you record it with the camera. So again, you can sync the audio later, and you can record as many angles as you want to, and then just sync them up to the same audio clip and just cut the video. So that way you can essentially have infinite camera angles, but with one camera, and you'll still have a really effective performance. Now the other way to do it is how I did it in this video, where I play everything live and then cut the audio accordingly, and then make notes to myself which take I'm using so I can use the correct video take. So I did 3 separate takes, and the order in which I recorded them was 1, a wide shot, pretty much similar to how you're seeing now. The second take was a close-up of my left hand, and the third take was a close-up of my right hand. And when I edited the audio in PreSonus, in my DAW, I made a mental note of like, okay, this is take 1, okay, this is take 2, okay, this is take 3, and I even color-coded the tracks just so I keep them straight. And when I go to edit the video, I make a mental note of like, okay, this is the bar where I need to switch to this video, and then this is the bar where I need to switch to this video, and I did it manually. It's a little bit more of a headache because you then have to go through and make sure your audio is syncing up with your video. So 9 times out of 10, that's why you'll see people mime it, just because it's easier to get down, and then you can, play around with it in post. Another strategy that I've used myself is to at least have one take where you're playing it live all the way through, and then once you get the live recording, you can kind of supplement it with different camera angles where you essentially mime it. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds. Something I should note is that when you record a video, it's a different medium than live performance, and it's also a different medium than recording the audio, because you're trying to get something that's visually compelling. And as an artist, sometimes it's just fun to craft the visuals for a performance that you're really, really proud of. So if you recorded something and you just want to have like a really cool, dark and moody video, or you want to go to a cool location, it's kind of the second half of that same artistic expression. So don't really look at it like it's like, oh, he's cheating, he has to like mime it or move it or something like that. It really just makes for a more compelling video, which gets more people to listen to your music. So, take that for what it's worth. All right, so I'm gonna play that little snippet of the video that you saw at the beginning one more time. And with everything that I've said, watch the video again and notice how the camera angles move, notice the lighting, things like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you want me to cover in future videos like this one, please leave them down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.